Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, field service workers.
Yes.
Do we give them enough praise and love and affection for what they do?
Probably not.
I don't think we do sometimes either.
No.
And we also don't think we understand how much technology is actually involved in field service these days.
Oh, yes.
Like,
right?
it's not just, you don't just show up in a dirty old truck with a toolbox and
Gone are the
and
days.
a ladder and
of
pants that for some reason fall too low every time you bend over. Like, that's not the typical field service worker these days.
That person is not coming to my house anymore. Yeah, like the simple pail and
exactly.
a couple of tools in it. Yeah, that doesn't
quick
happen.
story. We had a refrigerator. Actually, we've had literally 3 refrigerator repairs.
Good
Three or
Lord.
4 in the 3 years that we've had our brand new refrigerator.
Oh,
mind
come
you.
on now.
I'm not going to call it the company, but
Yeah.
the service technicians have been amazing. And
Right.
what really impressed me was one of the times a guy came over and was diagnosing a problem with our freezer, and he literally just plugged a USB into a little port on top of the fridge with his cool tablet, and just did a quick little diagnostic, figured something out, was able to actually fix it on his tablet as well, and was on his way. Granted, I don't like what I had to pay for that because it seemed very simple. And he told me if my fridge was Wi-Fi enabled, it would have been even simpler. But
so
the point was,
he tech shamed you.
Yeah, the point was he didn't have to bring in any tools. He didn't have to take anything apart. He literally just hooked up a tablet to my fridge and was able to get some work done. So technology is a big part of what's happening in field service right now.
It is.
So that's what we're going to talk about today.
There you go. It's a good topic.
We didn't just bring it up for nothing.
Right, for nothing. Right.
So we've got Dan Fuller with us today. We're going to be talking about what's going on in mobility and asset management in the field and how this technology is being used. We're going to get into what mobile devices are doing out in the field, where they're used and why.
Yep.
We're going to talk about how this stuff compared, purpose-built devices like our VARs sell, compared to consumer devices. We always are saying, hey, this stuff is better. We'll explain why in this particular instance. And we'll talk a little bit about asset management also outside of the 4 walls, because that's a very important topic right now.
Love it.
Too.
Yep, good topic.
This is actually another topic that was recommended by one of our listeners.
Get out.
Alex Rode from Panatrack. Alex, thank you so much for suggesting this topic. As always, if you've got topics to suggest, give them to us. We'll try to bring someone on and talk about them.
Absolutely.
We want to talk about what you want to talk about. So
there you go.
All that plus our usual value to the VAR and what's tech connecting with us. It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I mentioned today, our guest is Dan Fuller. He is the Director of Sales for Versona Systems. Dan, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your day-to-day life at Versona.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having me. And BlueStar has been a great partner with us, and we just appreciate your support. But I'm Director of Sales at Versona Systems, and we are a systems integrator, a software house. Essentially, we have 3 different softwares available for resale. Our first one is Stock and Roll, which has been around for quite some time, and it's simply a asset tracking software or platform that was actually developed for a large customer called KBR back in the day, and it was used for turnarounds. Well, since then, we've kind of made modifications, and we can use that simple little database for just about any kind of asset tracking. So, but this Stock and Roll is mostly for inside the 4 walls, but I think we're talking about outside the 4 walls. So what we've seen is, and the key to it, you were talking a while ago about the tech rep came out, he looked at your refrigerator and he plugged in a tablet. And, I was prepared to talk about another device, but, you picked up on a key subject here, and that's tablets. We're seeing tablets really explode. In particular, the Zebra, the L10 tablet, it's got a built-in scanner inside. And a lot of our customers, let's just face it, they're Windows bigots. They don't want to go to Android.
That's right.
And so it's we have tablets that are still running Windows, and it's I wouldn't say it's plug and play, but pretty much as long as you have connectivity in the field, they're good to go. So I'm kind of stretching this out, but I am in sales, and I tell my wife all the time in our business, one, we have to find a customer. Two, we have to understand what their issues are. Three, we have to engineer a solution. And then four, we have to sell that solution to everybody from the end user to the top of the company. So it's you guys know we're in this business, and it's a tough gig, but I'm having fun doing it.
And he's been doing it for quite some time.
Exactly.
If I could give you guys kudos on the naming of your product, Stock and Roll, Stock and Prep.
Yeah.
These are good names from a marketer's standpoint.
I completely agree. Trust me. I like it. I hear
something
something like Stock and Roll.
You
I'm
need
like,
Stock and Roll.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. I do need Stock and Roll.
It's memorable. It's catchy. I can always dig that.
That's right.
All right. Well, hey, let's get into this discussion about mobility and asset management out in the field. So we talk a lot about mobile devices, obviously, inside the four walls a lot. We talk about them in warehouses, supply chain, manufacturing, retail. But again, what's the need for them outside of those walls? When someone gets out in the field and they're working, what's the need for these kind of devices?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we get asked by our current software users, hey, originally when we started working with this, we were inside the four walls, and we would issue either tools or assets outside of our warehouse, and then wait for those assets to come back. And in particular, these were customers that were like tool rental companies, and so. And so what they found out was they were losing a lot of time, a lot of assets in the field, because the tech rep would go back out to the customer site to pick up the tools that they loaned out, and come to find there's something missing. So the issue is, how do you stop, or how do you make sure that you're reclaiming those assets in the field and not waiting till they get back to the warehouse? Because if you wait till it gets back to your warehouse, you may never be able to recover that tool. Okay. So they've come to us and said, hey, how can I take this application out to the field? And that's where, the Stock and Roll, or even Rainview, our RFID product platform. So it's all about stopping those inaccuracies in the field, and right there on the spot, reconciling your assets to what's supposed to be coming back to what was issued out. And in fact, there's a way that we can even invoice a customer on the spot. And if you have a little portable printer, you can print out a receipt and bill them right there. So that's the big issue, is stopping inaccuracies at the field level and not waiting till something gets back, because quite frankly, some of these assets are very expensive, and even the shipping of those assets is costly. And so you want to try to consolidate all your shipments as much as you can as well.
John, give us some stats around this, because do you have them? I got a couple stats.
I don't. Let's hear yours.
I got them then. More than 1 billion in tools or consumables are lost each year. Another good one, because I think you were touching on it, Dan. 2/3 of contractors, so we're talking, field service people and stuff like that, replace 10 to 30% of their tools annually. So, this is a really good point that I think that we're bringing up here. And I just don't think it's constant. I'll throw one more out, because we always talk about these things too. 50% of contractors don't track non-capital tools at all, and 29% are still using paper and spreadsheets.
That's
and
alarming.
Basic databases. That's so 30% of folks out there are using antiquated systems or no system at all. And, it just brings a lot of inefficiencies to the whole process, right?
And this is one of those things, too, that I think I've said something to this effect before, but my belief about business and enterprise and whatever this job is your employees, you should not be equipping your employees with technology that is less than or lower than what your average worker is accustomed to in their daily life. Most of us by now, I feel that way. Most of us by now have a smartphone. Most people have smartphones.
Yep.
Most people have, computer access with cloud access and are very familiar with a lot of high tech. I mean, TVs are high tech now, there's so many high tech devices that we're all very familiar with and used to. People have smart homes now. And again, even the most average person who isn't a techie person probably has some level of understanding of a lot of decent technology. But if they go to work and the tech that they're using there is less than what they're doing at home, to me, that's like
there's a disconnect.
There really is. There's a disconnect, and I would think from a worker standpoint, it would tell you like, well, they just don't seem to care as much about equipping me with what I need to use.
Yeah.
So
I got this clipboard.
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
piece of paper.
If I went to go work at a job and they told me like, we're going to do everything on paper, and I mean, if you want to use a phone, fine, here's an old flip phone we've got. You can use that if you want. Like what? I'd be like, no thanks, I'm gone. Thanks. Have a nice day. I'll find somewhere else to work. That's just my opinion.
So it's comforting, Dan, to hear you say, that obviously, end users are starting to understand and appreciate this, right? And so when you start having the conversation around efficiencies or trying to drive that, you're not hitting brick walls. People are starting to nod their head. That's probably right, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really depends on the use case and what kind of field service you're doing.
Yeah.
And what kind of real estate do you need on the screens? Because, if you're doing something, some kind of field maintenance where it's being tracked, like your company needs to know that you're actually at the location. Maybe you're doing an inspection. And so all you need to do is maybe take a barcode scan of that asset in the field. And then there's some walkthrough screens that you do just to make sure you follow those processes of whatever that asset that you're actually doing maintenance on, or making sure that it meets certain maintenance qualifications. Now, if you're another user, a use case where maybe you're in healthcare and you've got to go out to the customer site and the people's homes or wherever, and you need a bigger real estate because you don't want to constantly keep scrolling down on a 4 or 5 inch phone or screen. So that's where the tablets come in to being, and we're finding out that a lot of people started out thinking about just handheld devices, which are great. But if you need a bigger screen to actually do your work and look like that you're working off something like off of your desktop, then that's where we're seeing just a really increase in the use and people asking us about tablets, and then making sure that they're ruggedized, that they have built-in scanning capabilities. All that comes into play. And as a reseller, I like to hear people or software providers or hardware providers talk about specific use cases. And we were just recently contacted by another reseller of ours, and their end user is actually the Department of Transportation for a very large state. And believe it or not, they were still using pen and paper for their assets for all traffic control. So, we're working with them right now to automate that, doing it in various locations, but also with tablets, being able to do that in the field. So when they go do inspections on certain locations, anywhere there's a traffic camera or a sign or traffic light, they can do that maintenance right then in the field, and maybe even relabel a barcode if it's been out for 5 years and that barcode's starting to fade. So those are the type use cases that it's just boundless, and it's going to keep growing, I feel.
Let's drill a little bit. You brought up a really good point as it relates to, because I know you always joke about getting the right tool in the employee's hands, right? And we don't want a flip phone. But Dan, I think you really brought up a good point about the size of a tablet, and I'll drill down on the UI or the user interface on the the tool set and the application that you're developing. That can be just as important, right? So maybe I've got this slick whatever smaller screen, but the information I got to put in, I'm visualizing like back in the day with a Palm Pilot, and I got to get out the little stylus and I got to drill into a particular
Well, let's be honest, even on those, typing in is not that easy anymore, but
the tablet's brilliant. I see where you're going, Dan, because now from a design standpoint, I've got more real estate. I can make it so that the thumbs and the fingers can work on these drop downs and drill downs, right? That need to occur. I totally get it, because back to your point, the user experience, right? We want the worker experience to be good. If they're gonna be, we're gonna enable them with technology. Let's do it. So the UI is really important, and getting that customer feedback's really important. I can see why tablets are now, kind of.
Yeah, we're down here in Houston too, so there's a lot of petrochemical customers that we have, and quite frankly, that industry is really starting to look internally and how do we automate. And there's new plants being built for exporting LNG gas, and that's exploding down here. And we're when you start talking about those tablets, you start needing to have intrinsically safe devices. So, it really does matter when, depending on your use case, what kind of hardware you're going to recommend for that particular application. So whether it's healthcare, petrochemical, field service, field maintenance, and there's a plethora of tablets out there and handheld devices that will meet these requirements. And I'm really lean toward Zebra products and the handhelds. I mean, they've been a great partner for us, and we tend to lead with that with the Zebra products.
So I think we've kind of hinted at this already, and we've kind of sort of talked about it already. But obviously, the idea of these, enterprise devices versus the cheaper consumer options. I know there are some companies that will be like, well, hey, I can buy 50 iPhones, maybe even 2 generations old iPhones or old Samsung devices or whatever to equip my team. They're fine. They're much cheaper than buying, a new Zebra or Honeywell or Data Logic, device or whatever. But obviously that's not quite good enough. We know that. So tell us a little bit more about where purpose-built devices really, elevate and are much better options than, a consumer device or asking someone to bring their own device and use that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, you guys have heard this saying forever, total cost of ownership. And that's been around forever. And it's just, you have to weigh out how much revenue are you losing if a device goes down, if one of your guys breaks his, consumer grade phone, and you've lost all that data for that day, or, made him unproductive for that day. So, a lot of people, by the time you take a consumer grade device and you put some kind of rugged device on, or a ruggedized, case on it to make it more rugged, you're about at that same price point as a new ruggedized device that was purposely built for that. So hope that answers your question. It's just, but for every use case, there's probably a device out there to be paired with that use case.
Yeah, that total cost of ownership, I think, is that's a huge one. And again, it's one of those things. I think if you do the math and a little, like if you ask enough questions and help them do the math and help them understand, like, hey, here's what it looks like. I know you're saying, yes, I can buy 50 of this cheap device and I'm fine. But again, we all know from our own devices, they last maybe a little longer than they used to, but still, you're probably replacing those within anywhere from 3 to 5, 7 years, maybe at the most. You're going to have to replace them. The battery life's going to decline dramatically over time. The ability to upgrade is going to start declining over time. The support you would get are going to decline. So yeah, overall, eventually at some point, you're going to find yourself having to replace all of that. And by the time you've done that a couple times, you could have purchased a purpose-built, an enterprise device.
That's it.
That was going to last you 10, 15 years instead, and was much easier to manage and control, and was designed to last longer for you. But I think the other part too there is the idea of like control over the devices and the updates themselves. And this is where we've talked about this on other episodes about Android. And one of the big perks about Android is the fact that there's so much control that you can use from an enterprise level. So if you're using some kind of mobile device management, if you are taking control of those devices, rather than hoping that, I don't know, let's say the 20 people in your field force are all updating to the latest iOS or the latest version of Google or whatever, or Android or whatever, you don't have to rely on them to do that kind of stuff for you. You can do that and push those updates out to them. You don't have to worry about, hey, there's a new version of this app that everybody's using and we need you all on the new version, but 5 people didn't bother upgrading. They haven't upgraded the last 2 times and they're completely missing out on features. That's the kind of stuff where if you have control over all of your devices in your enterprise, you can push those updates out. You have control. You can block off what you want to block off from them. They can't be browsing around and getting themselves in trouble on the internet or downloading inappropriate apps or whatever, or viruses. Like, the control I think that you have is so much more important. And again, that will all go back into that total cost of ownership over time.
I agree. And so let's get serious about seriousness, right? So if you're an end user and you're going to your employees with these solutions that are falling apart, not working as they intended, that looks bad on you and your company. Right. So if I was a reseller selling into that type of a scenario, look, you're a professional end user, you're a professional organization. Enable your employees with professional tools that can do that, right? Because we want to get into the discussion around the seriousness of the tools that you're using. If we could go back a little bit to, asset management and field service and stuff like that, that's part of the argument that you want to make on the ROI around the solution that you're providing is holding the employees accountable for the assets that you're allocating towards them, right? Defining what those things are, knowing where they are, not just who has them, these types of things. So when you have a serious conversation around the assets that a company is tasked with tracking, you got to give them the serious tool to do that, right? And a 5-generation old iPad is probably not as serious.
Probably not cutting it now.
Yeah, as a ruggedized, purpose-built device. So I think it feeds into the whole narrative of the solution and the seriousness around what you're trying to build.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, then Dan, let's talk about asset management, because this is a big part of what Versona does, and your stock and roll product that we've already mentioned. So outside of the 4 walls, I think we do a good job, and we talk a lot about inside the walls asset management or inventory management. There's all these different types of systems and processes and things available. I think by now most people understand, hey, barcodes are better than paper. RFID might even be better than that. But once you get outside of the 4 walls, that's a whole different story, because you don't have the same kind of access to technology or to the same kind of networking structure for this kind of asset management. So has it been a struggle to get industries like construction, field service, utilities, to get them on board with barcode and RFID solutions? What are the benefits to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the early adopters and some of the larger companies, utility companies, have they've started that years ago, and they understand the benefit of taking the work to the field and collecting the data there. And even if you talk about inside the 4 walls, just the supply chain in general, we always try to work with solutions that will stop inaccuracies before they happen. And that is so critical in the field because, like we mentioned before, by the time you have to wait till, your guy gets back into the warehouse without an asset, it may be too late. You may be on a job site that, they've already finished up your part of the work or your construction part, and you're finished, and you get ready to leave and go to the next site, and you've got missing tools. What does that cost you? So it really is about stopping those inaccuracies in the field before they happen, and you just can't simply wait till your guys get back to a warehouse and find out they don't have something. I worked on a project for a shipping company, and that's the same thing. They were losing or misshipping product, and by the time they found out where these products are, it was just simply too costly to get them back. So they just let the customer destroy in field, and that's unbelievable. So yeah, I think it's all about stopping and correcting those errors in asset management out in the field, and taking care of it right there.
I'm going to throw in as well control. I think that when you look at these systems and what they're trying to do, it helps those customers control a lot of aspects of their business that maybe is not control or they don't have control of today. Inventory, right? We've talked a lot about inventory of assets and things of that nature, and that's an obvious one. But operationally, you're helping them control operationally. I think your use case there that you just had was a really, really good one. That's all leading into financial control, because now we have better asset tracking, better visibility on the things that are happening. We've got better technical control that you already went down, the machine-to-machine operations, automatic data backups, these types of things. When you start lumping all these arguments into play, you really start winning the battle over maybe somebody who's on the fence a little bit about, we got this old way of doing it type of thing. These are the things that you need to sell. Stopping inaccuracies, control over your environment. These are good things, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you referenced earlier a couple of stats, the 2/3 of contractors replacing the $1 billion of lost tools. So all that stuff came out of a marketing campaign that we did with Versona a couple of years back for construction, in particular, construction management, like all about, again, the asset tracking for tools and this tool management piece. This was one of the most successful marketing campaigns we have done in my time, at least working here. We got, I don't know, 100 plus, maybe over 200 leads, I think.
I think the first day that was turned on, it broke the system. So,
we did like just putting this out there for construction management. Our typical marketing place. We found a couple places to do emails through, and the response. And it's one of those things. Obviously, they have to give us their information before they get a chance to read our ebook about this. But the fact that so many people were clearly interested in saying, "Hey, yes, I do want a better, more efficient way to manage my tools."
Yeah.
And then I know you guys had some great conversations that came out of that, and had some good customer interactions, but it tells me that there is a need for this. It tells me that these folks that are out there that are doing these jobs, they know that there's a problem. They know there's inefficiencies. They know there's issues with the control of their assets. Accountability is a big part of this. We pointed that out in that ebook too. The idea that the accountability of your employees to make sure that they're not, as you mentioned, just leaving stuff behind and not caring about it, or taking up, like, I don't know, let's say you take a box of nails out to a site and you lose, 600 of those nails somehow or whatever. That kind of stuff adds up.
Oh yeah.
And if it's the same person doing that over and over again, this is the kind of stuff that if you're accurately tracking and you're keeping track of it through asset management and you're using the right tools to check stuff in and out and identify who took stuff, you can figure out who's that person. Who's that person that's always losing tools or is wasting too much. And it shows
you're serious about it. You just don't let that stuff go, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
it tells your employee
the overlord,
that.
but this is a serious business, and
imagine if you're working on a construction site and all you have to do to get a tool is just go walk up someplace and grab the tool and maybe you sign a piece of paper and walk out with it or whatever.
Yeah.
That's feels a whole different way than having to go up and actually check in on a device or something. You have to scan it in through a barcode. It gets registered to you and your employee ID or whatever. There's a huge difference between that. And yes, you're right. You would know as an employee, like, all right, I really do have to pay attention to what I'm doing with this stuff because they are paying attention.
Yeah, right. So I think it does help out, and so all these arguments I think compile into that. It's good that the piece got such a response that it is. Maybe that's a little bit of a market validation that people are out there. They are interested in these types of technologies.
The market's there. They want to hear about it.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah. One other thing, that while you were talking, it just brought it to my memory is tool hoarding. Okay. Yeah, we're not talking about losing him. We're talking about a manager that's on a site, and he's like, I don't want to run out of these tools. So instead of just having the one tool or saw that was allocated to me, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and order another one and have one sitting there just in case. And so that's huge, especially in the petrochemical business out on an oil rig, because if they have a tool that breaks, they want to have something readily available, and so they tend to hoard tools. So having that visibility to every location is really key to managing that. So
reducing that inventory loss.
Exactly. And I think another part of the whole asset tracking equation too that people don't think enough about also is like this is also a great opportunity for you to keep track of like maintenance schedules and when you need to upgrade or when you need to replace something, because again, it's one of those things where if you suddenly, and especially again, like if we're talking construction or field service, there can be some very high-tech, expensive machinery that they're using on a regular basis. And imagine if that piece of machinery, which is the one thing you need to be working in order to do a massive part of your job that day, breaks down because it hasn't been serviced in 6 months or 2 years or something like that, and you weren't keeping track of that. That can be a huge blow that just stops work entirely for an entire day or two. I see it all the time. I live in a neighborhood that is relatively new and are constantly building new homes, and you'll see like so much active work happening on a place one day, and then suddenly no one's touching this place for a week. And I know from experience from building our house that occasionally like something will happen where like, well, we can't do X, which means we can't do Y, Z, double A, double
everything
B.
else downstream.
Anything after that can't be done. So now we have to stop for 2 weeks until we can get what we need to fix A or to complete A. And that's the kind of stuff where, again, if you're properly managing your assets and keeping track of this kind of stuff, you're hopefully potentially cutting off those kind of issues before they happen.
Yeah, I like the maintenance angle for sure. Yeah. I mean, what a nightmare, right? And again, it gets back to the seriousness. Oh, our maintenance schedule is on the whatever in the trailer, up on a clipboard, on
back
a piece
at the
of
home
paper.
office. Yeah,
nobody can see. What? When's the last time we maintained this? No, but if you're documenting it on a serious application and tool set that actually alarms you or precludes you, this is a better way.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Another thing that you keep bringing up things that brings it to my memory. So you guys are doing a good job of leading me along.
That's what we do.
That's what the goal is here. Yeah.
But when you talk about field mobility and and maintenance on tools, a stock and roll has that built into it. And we always tell everybody that it's a very simple asset tracking, but when we drill down, you talk about tools and what is their life cycle. When are they due to be either taken out of the field and replaced, or when do they maybe need to have maintenance? And the other thing is that employee that's checking that tool out, is he trained on that tool? And are there other safety supplies that he may need to operate that tool? Maybe gloves or eyes. Maybe even a respirator that's needed. So that's very important to make sure that the employee's getting the tool, he's getting the right tool, and not only he's getting the right tool, but he is certified to use that tool, and that tool meets all of the maintenance record, and it's not going to take it out into the field and it break on him in the field.
Yep.
Love it.
Really good point.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, well, hey, this has been a very good conversation. Before we transition over to telling you, our wonderful VAR audience, a takeaway here, what you can do and how Versona can help you out, I want to, as always, thank our TEConnect sponsors. We appreciate your support of the show. Could not do this without you. Hey, as always, if you've got thoughts about the show, if you want to tell us what you think, like us on YouTube, leave us a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts. Make a suggestion like Alex did about this topic. I always put a link in the show notes where you can go and give us a topic suggestion. And just for giving us a suggestion, whether we use it or not, we will send you a TEConnect podcast t-shirt.
There you go.
So just for giving us a suggestion, just tell us. It can be something like, hey, I'd really love for you guys to do an episode about, space, Okay, we probably would actually. We'd love to do that.
Don't say Star Wars. That's already in the queue.
Yeah, we already do that, yeah. So, but don't hesitate to tell us what you want to hear from us. And as always, of course, if you want to stay connected with us and tell us your thoughts and let us know what's going on, you can always find us on Twitter at TEConnectPod. You can also email us, TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, hey, let's wrap up as always first with the value to the VAR. So, Dan, how does Versona help assist VARs with driving these mobility solutions, having these kind of conversations with field-based customers? And you mentioned like the L10 tablets, for instance, earlier, but are there any other devices that are really exciting you right now that you're enjoying showing and talking about to people in this line of work?
Yeah, and you bring up a good question about how do we help the other VAR, and the good thing about it is we have some really talented folks here at Versona Systems that are a lot smarter than me, and a lot of them are not only software developers but engineers. So we understand, how to write code, but we also know why we're writing the code, and we understand business process. But we are always open to and searching for resellers, and maybe you don't have that, that kind of expertise within your organization. We'll help you with that, and just bring us the leads or the accounts, and we can take over from there and do as much or as little as you want. And in particular, you were asking about hardware. I just think that the tablets, all the new tablets coming out, Zebra, Honeywell, these are great tools. And I think they're just going to grow. One of the newer products come out from Zebra is, I believe it's the new R90. It's the ruggedized RFID sled. And so we've been asked quite a bit about, taking RFID outside the walls. And up until this product, there really hasn't been anything that was specifically made for ruggedized outside RFID tracking. Most of it's been for inside the wall. So I'm excited about that. There's some new technology that we're looking at as well, with in particular on RFID. I know you guys, we've been talking a lot about stock and roll and stock and prep, and our RFID platform is Rainview, and it is a platform, and there's a couple other modules that hang off of that, one being asset tracking, one being supply chain, and then the other is work in progress, or closed loop RFID tracking inside of either manufacturing or maintenance repair facility. So yeah, I named all of them. Yep. I'm the guy that names them. So
it's good stuff.
You did a good job of that, yeah.
I mean, Dan, we got a lot of resellers that maybe are, traditional POS folks, right? That wouldn't normally get into back of house stuff or mobility. Maybe they have a customer that they've installed the point of sale system on the front or at the counter or something like that, but they're not handling the back house. So Versona Systems, great company, great partner, and to Dan's point, they can help other resellers who maybe aren't in this area. They've got the skill set to do it. They've actually got the tools and the software to help as well. So they really know their stuff very, very well. It would be a great partner to partner up with to get that done. Yeah.
Well, and it's, you said at the very beginning there, the thing I'll always love to hear, which is, hey, if you don't quite feel you're capable enough of doing this on your own, come to us. We're happy to help. That's what we do here in this channel ecosystem. It's all about developing partnerships, bringing people together, helping people understand, like, hey, you don't have to be on your own little island where you have to do everything on your own. Work with your friends at BlueStar and Versona. We'll always be happy to hook you up with someone that can help you with that message, and the experts. As Dan,
grow your business.
The smartest thing you said there was, hey, there are people that are smarter than me that know how to do this stuff.
That's right.
A wise man knows that there's always someone smarter than him that can do things that they can't. So I appreciate that.
That's how you grow your business, for sure. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, well, hey, let's wrap up as always with our favorite segment, What's Tech Connecting with You? This is where we get to talk about something from the world of science, tech, innovation that has caught our eye, has our attention, that we're enjoying playing with, or maybe it is frightening us. Who knows? Could go either way. Dan, what's Tech Connecting with you right now?
There's a new BLE tag type technology that's been introduced, and I'm not going to say their name because I'd be advertising for them, but this technology is it's sold as battery free BLE. And so these tags are made in a way so that it will borrow or use energy from any kind of energy source, cell phone, AP, you name it. These little tags go out and they actually find that energy and they use that to energize the tag and to say, hey, here I'm at, here I am. So, what that's, is I think what it's supposed to be made for, and we're gonna go take a class with them and find out. But is there should be lower infrastructure for real-time RFID tracking inside a location. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It is proprietary right now, so that's one of my issues I have with it. But they're saying all the right things, and we're going to go to RFID World and take their class and sniff it out and see, because we're always interested in new technologies. And the infrastructure, and particularly with RFID, has always been one of the hindering blocks for companies going forth, because there just seems to be a large amount of revenue for infrastructure. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And I recently had a knee replacement surgery, and right before my surgery, I was reading up, and there's actually a company here in Houston, and they're embedding RFID chips into the replacement knees, and that was really, and I don't understand why they want to do that right now, other than they want to just monitor. What's going on, but it sounded very intriguing, and I reached out to them, but they never called me back. So
don't you worry about that chip in your knee. Pay no attention to that. Yeah.
Somebody, there's a dashboard somewhere. Oh, Dan's knee is traveling now. It's like, what are I like the low energy BLE. That's cool, and because we've talked about these tags and sensors being able to get energy from like acoustical, just audio and or Wi-Fi signals and stuff like that. It is really cool stuff, but I think that, to your point, Dan, that's going to enable certain parts of our industry really to grow when you kind of take the energy off the equation off, but you can still have an energized tag. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, Dean, what's TEConnecting with you?
All right, well, I'm going to give you a headline because I just can't get away from it. Remember that the Pentagon releasing the 1,500 pages of declassified UFOs?
Yes.
Reports? Okay, well, so UFO left radiation burns and unaccounted for pregnancies.
What?
New Pentagon report claims. That's the headline. It's just as salacious as it sounds. So I couldn't not click on that, right?
No doubt.
I mean, what is an unaccounted for pregnancy? Are aliens impregnating us? No, oh my God, what is going on here?
I mean, they've been probing us forever, so why not start impregnating too,
So, it goes into some of the things where, some of the burns were from, exhaust of something or other, and then that's got me thinking, well, that doesn't sound very alien. It sounds like maybe somebody, some other nation or something like that is coming in with black helicopters or something like that.
Or just, your house is on some kind of dumping ground that the government never bothered to tell you about.
But at the end of the road, here's the really big line. It's unclear what kind of vetting process, if any, is used to investigate these allegations. So basically, you can comb through these 1,500 pages, but they're just taking down information, right? It's like the scribe coming in. Okay, so what happened to you, John? Well, I feel like I was, levitated, and
the next thing I knew, I was pregnant.
So they're just documenting it, and that goes in the file. Now they're not vetting it. They're not saying, okay, well, let's take you to a doctor, see if you're actually pregnant, or
I mean, let's be honest.
Like,
I think we brought this up
here
when we talked about this trove that was released before.
Yes.
The government would not be releasing this if they felt there was any actual chance of people getting something out of it that would make us truly understand or believe what's happening here.
So that's kind of where I'm at now, because when it first came out, I'm like, I remember it was when COVID was hitting. It's like, this is the perfect time to release this because everybody's freaked out about everything. Why wouldn't it be? But now that you
because
dig
again,
a little bit
if we ever had established 100% positive proof that aliens existed and they were visiting our planet, the entire world and society as we know it would change. That would be the kind of thing that just changes an entire civilization overnight, pretty much. So again, I just can't see.
But it's just salacious enough to get
exactly
the people that want to believe and get in it.
I can't see them doing it if they felt like, yeah, that could happen. They're just like, no, we know we're giving them enough to play with, but we're not really going to.
Dan, if you had a third encounter or a close encounter of the third kind that you could report to
or
us,
even first or second too, you know.
I mean, because Houston, Texas, you all got a lot of land out there, and weird things happen out there.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah. But the vetting, they got to vet it, right? They got to vet it. All right, great. What's TEConnecting with you, John?
All right, so we all know I'm an unabashed baseball fan.
Yes.
It's been harder than usual this year because I'm also a Reds fan.
Very difficult year.
As of this recording, we're 3-21, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And got smoked last night.
Off to one of the worst starts in
the worst.
I guess we are
the worst.
But I mean, even in MLB history.
Oh, MLB, yes.
I remember like a Tigers team from, I want to say like 03 or 05 being pretty horrific, having well over 100 losses. Anyway, so I haven't been very focused on Reds baseball and professional baseball or watching baseball this year. But I did find a new fun baseball video game to play.
Okay.
And I haven't really had a good one since like back on PlayStation 2. I was a big fan of like MVP Baseball 03 or 5 or something.
Yes.
The Show, I think I played The Show back in 2013, 12 or 13, something like that.
Okay.
And those games are still out there, but I don't have like modern systems right now. Well, I found an awesome iPad game. I'd found one last year that I kind of liked, but wasn't really digging it. But the new one that I found that I really love is called 9 Innings. That's the name. 9 Innings for 2022 or whatever.
I'm looking it up.
It is, I think they've been doing it for a little while now, but it's an official MLB sanctioned game, players game too. So like all the players that are there. The great fun caveat of this, for one thing, it's a very simple, easy game to play, and I appreciate that. The caveat about this, what's fun about it, it's one of those games that you can freemium where you can,
I can get it right now.
You can buy it. Like you can, I don't know if was it free even to download or it may have been a small payment. I don't remember, but
it's free download.
Okay,
I'm downloading it right now.
It's one of those games where you can pay to like upgrade your team and do all kinds of stuff, but you do not have to at all.
And still have fun.
Right. So the best part about it is what you can do basically is you collect along the way through playing games or just watching ads occasionally from time to time. And again, you can buy them if you want to, but you do not have to. You basically get packs of baseball cards of various players from throughout different timelines.
Okay.
So, and most of them are like in the last 20, 25 years or so, but then you can get like, legend players from before that or like way back in the day potentially. You get them at different status levels. So I'm currently working on a Reds team that just made the playoffs with a 30, I think I only played like a 40 game season or something like that. My record was like 37-3 or something like that.
Nice.
Because I have like Mike Trout on my team. I have Mookie Betts from 4 years ago. I have Miguel Cabrera from like 2009.
What? Yeah.
I kept Joey Votto on my team.
Of course.
He's one of my powered up players. But like I've got all these like classic, best like top level players. Jacob deGrom is heading off my rotation, my starting rotation. Like I think it's the 2021 version. It's literally the best player you can have in the entire game, I think. So I have this amazing team that I've built, and so that's the fun of it. Is like you can grab players, you stick them on your team, they show up in the game wearing your uniform.
Nice.
You have their stats. You can grab them from different times throughout their playing history. So you can get a great year. You can combine players together. Like there's a lot of fun stuff. There's just so many different modes. Even if you just play just normal season mode, it's a lot of fun. Maybe a little on the easy side. Like I said, once I built my team up, winning games has not been very hard. But it's a fun game. It's if you're jonesing for a good, fun, simple baseball game that you don't have to spend money on and enjoy on your tablet, highly recommend 9 Innings 22. It's a fun game.
If we could only parlay that into reality.
I know. Like I said, this is my way of being like, well, this is the Reds team I wish we had this year. I mean, honestly, I probably could be playing the regular Reds team that we already have this year and still do better than they are right now. I can almost guarantee that.
Yes.
That's what's TEConnecting with me. Dan Fuller from Versona Systems, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us.
So until next time, find whatever your UFO report is,
and don't believe it.
Don't believe it. Go report your unexpected pregnancy or unsubstantiated pregnancy, whatever it is, and go play a new baseball game. And hopefully your team is doing much, much better than ours is right now. And as always, folks, please stay tuned. The TEConnect podcast is brought to you by ELO. Listen, Dean, ELO knows a thing or two about touchscreen technology.
Oh, yes,
right?
they do.
They've been at this whole digital signage display game
quite some
for a
time.
while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they are bringing decades of touchscreen experience to the palm of your hand.
Wait, what?
With the M50 handheld mobile computer.
This
isn't brand
thing,
new, but
I love
it's a
this
cool
thing.
device.
It is cool.
It's an enterprise-grade Android device built for efficiency and connectivity. Check out some of these specs. 5.5-inch HD touch display, integrated 2D barcode scanner, Android 10 OS, and a rugged design for commercial use.
Yep.
The M50 is ready to seamlessly integrate via ELO View or the MDM of your choice. All right, what else might you want? Long battery life?
Check. Need that.
Yep. Quick charge?
Ooh, yeah, absolutely.
Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 4G communications?
Gotta connect this bad boy.
Plenty of accessories?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Like what? A barcode scanner. Or no, it's got the barcode scanner.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
like a payment.
Yeah, I don't have the other ones right here in front of me. But yes, there are other accessories. The M50 has it all. The M50 is a bold choice for enterprises like warehousing, retail, healthcare, delivery, and more. Hey, guess what? We just had a little episode about field service. This would be a kind of device you would want to potentially use out in the field. It's got the rugged design.
Yes, sir.
It is, again, I talked about this whole thing of like Android and being able to maintain and control your devices through ELO View. Perfect kind of device for this. So to learn more, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar ELO team. TEConnect podcast is brought to you by Zebra. Okay, so we've talked a lot today about field service, workforce. Well, Zebra's kind of got you covered there. Workforce Connect, which is powered by Zebra Savannah, delivers on the promise of the truly unified enterprise device, allowing users to add powerful voice messaging features to Zebra mobile computers. With services such as push-to-talk, text messaging, and the ability to enable a Zebra mobile computer to also function as a mobile PBX desk phone, workers can perform all tasks on just one device, fully enabling the integration of voice and data workflows.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Also reduces the number of steps required to complete just about any task. So I'm thinking
Very cool.
You're out on a construction site, a big construction site.
Exactly.
And you've got guys on one side, you got your, the woman who's running the show in the trailer or something, and they all want to talk to each other and they want to communicate. They need to stay in touch. Maybe they don't have super strong Wi-Fi necessarily
Little
on
push to
site.
talk action. Love it.
Exactly. You've got a device where you can take your devices that you're already using for a multitude of stuff and stay in touch.
Bingo.
Modular and customizable, users can deploy the features they need today, easily add features to meet new business needs tomorrow, and customize the experience for the specific needs of workers. So to learn more about the Workforce Connect powered by Zebra Savannah, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar representative.